Example 3 said, find the length and the width of a rectangle whose perimeter is 20 feet and whose area is 21 square feet. Step 1 says use variables to represent unknown quantities.
X, Y, Z.
So, what I see it says find the length. What are we going to let represent the length?
Length, L.
Okay. And the width, what's going to represent the width?
W.
Of a rectangle whose perimeter, so what's going to represent perimeter?
P.
It's 20 feet. And whose area, what's area?
A.
All right.
Cubic.
Y'all are so original. I'm just kidding.
Well, can we use a cube?
It's perfect. No, we're going to use A.
Alright, I'm sorry.
All right, so tell me, what do we know about perimeter of a rectangle? You need to.
You add all the sides on the outside.
Okay.
Perimeter.
Two
Listen.
of them are the same.
No, it's 2L plus 2W.
All right.
Equals
So
P.
hold on. So I've got this rectangle. Which one is my length?
The long one.
All right. And which one then is my width?
The short one.
This one.
And somebody had said that opposite sides are equal there too. Good.
Yes.
All right. So you told me the perimeters if we add all the sides together, or you could have just come up with the formula. Either way, you'll get the same thing. What about area?
Length times width.
Area is our length times our width. Now, for this problem, we're going to write a system of equations that's going to model the question. So, what do we know about perimeter?
It is all sides added together.
But do I know anything in particular about this certain problem on perimeter?
Whose perimeter is
yeah.
20 feet.
The perimeter is 20 feet. So, what's going to be, what am I going to replace with the 20?
P.
P.
So, I can rewrite this then as 2L plus 2W
We're doing it.
equals 20.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what about the area? Do I know anything about the area for this problem?
The area is 21
A
feet.
equals whatever.
And that's going to be my A. Good. So, length times width equals 21. So, there's my two, my two equations. That creates my system. All right. So, here's our system. Now, let's answer the question. So, we want to find the length and the width. So, we need to solve for L and for W. So, how do we solve a system?
Elimination or substitution?
All right. Do you want to use elimination or do you want to use substitution?
Substitution.
Substitution.
Okay. Why not elimination?
Because.
We can already substitute.
Okay. Well, the second equation doesn't have a plus sign in it, does it?
Uh-uh.
So we haven't encountered one of those before. So if you get one where one equation has addition and the other one is just multiplication, you're going to have to use substitution. So substitution says pick one equation.
You said what I want to know. You said what equal.
All right. So we said, I'm going to write it here. We said we're going to use substitution. So step 1 of substitution says solve one equation for one variable. So which equation do you want to use, top or bottom?
Bottom.
And which variable then do you want to solve for?
L.
All right.
We all love each other.
So how am I going to solve for L?
Divide by W.
Good. Divide by the W. And so our length is equal to 21 divided by our width. Correct?
Which is. Can I just tell you the answer?
No, you can't.
I've already said it, Zach.
But I'm going to say it better.
All right. What's step 2?
Plug it in to another equation.
Good. Substitute what you just found in step 1 into the other equation. Well, my other equation is 2L plus 2W equals 20. And we solved for L. So what are we going to plug in for L?
21 divided by W.
Good. So then plus 2W equals 20. Now I've got fraction being multiplied there. How do you multiply fractions?
Straight across.
Okay, but the first one's not a fraction.
Put a 1 underneath.
So put it under, or put it over 1 and then multiply straight across. So what do I get?
42.
Over.
W.
Good. Plus 2W equals 20. Well, one of our favorite things there, isn't it?
Fraction.
Fractions. But guys, we've been doing this since like day 3 in this class. How do we get rid of fractions?
Common factor.
No.
It's Kentucky Chicken Fried. KCF.
No.
Multiply by the denominator.
Multiply by the denominator. So remember, you're going to multiply everything by, what's the denominator?
W.
The W. Okay, so W times 42 over W. Those W's cancel and we have 42. Okay, plus what's W times 2W?
2W squared.
equals what's W times 20?
20W.
Now what do we do anytime we have a variable squared and then the variable?
Trinomial.
It's a trinomial, so we need to
Equal it to 0.
equal it to 0 so we can factor it. Good. So let's move this 20W over.
Can we put it in order?
Yes, that's what I'm going to do when I write this as well. We're going to put them in descending order of the exponents. So 2W squared minus 20W plus 42 equals 0.
What multiplies to 42 and adds to equal
No.
No.
Now we're ready to factor. What's our first step of factoring?
Least common factor.
Greatest common
Greatest
factor.
common factor.
Does this have a greatest common factor?
2.
Good. Let's go ahead and do that. That way we don't have to do our alien. So we're going to take out a 2. So divide it out. And we're left with W squared minus 10W plus 21. So I'm just going to rewrite what I have at the bottom there. We can factor what we have in parentheses. Simple trinomial. So just let me go through that in case you forgot, because it's been a while since we did it. Remember, these first terms have to multiply to W squared, which is,
W times W.
and these last two terms here have to multiply to 21 and then read it backwards. They have to
Add to negative.
add to 10. What multiplies to 21 that adds to 10?
7 and 3.
We always put our bigger number first because we can bring down that sign. And then just think, it's a negative 7 times what kind of 3 is going to give you that positive 21?
Negative.
Negative. Now, was this an alien?
Yes.
No.
No.
So I don't have to worry about bringing the man back. So what do we do when we have 3 things being multiplied times each other and it's set equal to 0?
So all make it equal.
Alright, so we got 2 equals 0. W minus 7 equals 0. And W minus 3 equals 0. Well, can 2 ever equal 0?
Nope.
No, so just cross it out. We could have divided by 2. And it would have zeroed out then, but this way it's just shorter. So then I'm going to add the 7
W equals 7.
and add the 3.
W equals 3.
Now make sure they make sense. Can your width be 7 or 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Well, what kind of number can the width not be?
2 bigger than 7.
Can't be negative. It can't be 0, okay? Because it's gotta have a length there. So just make sure they make sense. Sometimes they don't, and that way we can throw that answer out at that time.
Couldn't be easier.
All right, so what do we do once we find W?
Plug it back into the first equation.
I gotta plug it back into the first equation to find my length. All right, so step 3. Plug it back into the first equation. Remember, the first equation was L is equal to 21 over W. So when we find W is 7, so L equals 21 over 7, which is,
3.
and when my width is 3, we get L equals 21 over 3, which is,
7.
all right, so we got the 2 ordered pairs, 7, 3, and 3, 7. Really doesn't matter which one's which. Typically, which one do we say is the length going to be?
7. The bigger one.
We usually say the length is the bigger one, so your length is 7 what?
3 feet.
Feet. And our width is,
3 feet. 7 feet. Yeah.
and what is my last step?
Check.
Check it. So make sure you check. If you do 2L plus 2W, 2 times 7 plus 2 times 3, does it give you 20?
Yes.
If you do length times width, so 7 times 3, does that give you the 21?
Yep.
So you know your answer is correct.